As the title said, we're going to make a Mad Max Miku car today. Why? Well, because Rebuilds is a big fan of Hatsune Miku, and shoehorning her into media that would otherwise have nothing to do with her thrills him. And if you don't like Miku, you can
get out of my life and shut up.
First, we have to go to the crafting store and get us a car for a starting point. Now, Dollar Tree had two options, the first being this $5 RC car, but I didn't choose this one because, well, it was $5 and it was too fancy for Rebuilds. So we're going with this stank booty one instead. You would have to squint your eyes to see this as a Mad Max car, and that's the point. Rebuilds isn't good at anything, so he must do hard builds to improve his crafting skills. And this car is barely a car, but we're going to change that. Upon unpackaging, I disassembled the car. I will not be using this chassis, and these Garbo tires have to go as well. I happen to have these Lego tires that were a mere match in size, so we'll use them instead. There was no easy way of removing the junk tire, so I had to brute force it, but I still had to be careful not to damage the RC motor gears. Once removed, I glued the improved tires on. As for the front axle, we'll handle that in a second. Next, I glued some paneling on where the seat and steering wheel will go. Then I added a piece of plastic to the back that will make more sense later. For the front, I trimmed off most of the plastic to make room for the front axle. I had to extend the car's front tires for the new chassis we'll build next. I added these Lego pieces to fill out the space around the tires. I think it made it look a little better as well. Okay, for the chassis, we look back to the Miku Podracer video. Why did I do that lip roll? How embarrassing. Anywho, back in that award-winning build, I took apart that car, but I only ended up using one of the seats, so let's use the whole car this time. But of course, it's all in pieces, so let's try our best to put it back together, shall we? I wasn't concerned about gluing the car back together perfectly because it's Mad Max, and the more it looks like a put-together mess, the more accurate to the movies we are. Speaking of being accurate, I have this hood, and I could put it on and call it Dunzo. But that's too plain, so let's add this ridiculously huge engine. Next, let's put the seat in and the steering wheel, which was made out of junk. I finished the cab off with the original dashboard. But that was a fib. I actually finished the cab off by putting this stick shift in. But that was also another fib. I put the gas tank in the cab as well. Now the cab is finished, and I'm not telling a fib this time. As is, the convertible look is great, but not smart in the world of Mad Max, so let's put a top frame on. These Lego joiners are the choice cuts, but these pieces of plastic are very hard to cut. Even with all my hand strength, I couldn't cut them. Which is strange because Rebuilds has very strong grip. Supernaturally strong, in fact. I had to use my hobby saw. I glued the cut pieces into what I'm calling a hockey stick shape.
The waiting is over! The New York Rangers are the Stanley Cup champions!
As stated before, these Lego joiners were too hard to cut, so I switched to wood. The part you see is the front where the windshield will go. As for the back, I did the same thing, but with bigger wood sticks. There, we had our top frame, but it needs a lot of glue. I wanted it to look like it was put together with questionable welds, and the best way to do that is to use a lot of super glue and baking soda, which is a technique I use for the entirety of the build. With it now looking like a car, we can focus on detail. Let's start with the windows. Now, glass windows are hard to find on the dry, sandy planet, so we're going to use cross-stitch canvas. For the passenger side, it gets a full covering of the canvas. Oh, because Rebuilds is an American, the driver's side is on the left of the car. I forgot to mention that, or acknowledge that, I should say. I added a canvas door on, well, the door, and a cute little ladder. Now it would be pretty boring if I just use canvas, so let's use this mesh frying pan cover for the windshield. I just used my hobby scissors to cut it. Probably not good for the scissors, but I got a warranty on them. After gluing the windshield on, I added a crafting foam frame around it to make it look a little nicer. As for the very top, I used yogurt plastic, which was sanded into oblivion. Next, I threw some rivets on it, more on rivet making later. Then I took an interesting piece of plastic off the old chassis and added it to the yogurt plastic, and the top was done. But we'll hold off gluing it to the car for now. Let's put some nonsensical detail on this engine. Now, I'm not one to ever go overboard with the greeblies like other crafters, but I wanted to go a little bit to the ridiculous side. So let's put a bunch of crap on this engine, shall we? The most notable junk in question was these semi-truck exhaust pipes that I put on the front for no other reason except they looked cool and ridiculous. Speaking of ridiculous, let's build the Miku's bumper. I started with, of course, Lego pieces that I picked up because they looked cool, I guess. But you know what's cooler? Fire. Yes, I used this lighter to melt a part of the bumper to create the story that Miku just recently pummeled through a fellow driver and damaged her right bumper. And if that wasn't scarier enough, I took this Lego Bionicle foot spikes and glued them on. But I also added some busted spikes for variety, because variety is the spice of life, right? With the bumper looking scary good, I glued it on with a mountain of super glue and baking soda. Spoiler alert, the last thing I glued on was this spoiler. Now, spoilers on cars are surprisingly a big debate. People think they're cool, people hate them. For me, it depends on the car. If you put it on a race car, fine. If you put it on a minivan, you're an idiot. Next up is a montage of applying crafting foam. I wanted the car to look like Max Miku did quick fixes by bolting metal strapping all over the car, holding it together, or maybe it was because I just played Final Fantasy X and I was thinking of Lulu's dress. If you were wondering what happened to the tires, well, they were dirty, so the Mikus are busy cleaning them, and singing a song about pizza, it seems. Now for the rivets. I usually use rhinestones, but the Mikus have a gift for us. Bring it in, girls! The Mikus have gifted me this 1mm hole punch, and it's pink! That's very nice. Huh? Where did Kawaii Miku go? Oh, she has another gift for me! Oh! Thanks, I guess? Ugh. Back to the hole punch. Like I said before, this new tool punches tiny little holes in, well, in this case, the backing of a superglue packaging. It creates perfectly scaled rivets. Oops, I said the forbidden word. Forget I said that. The point is, this thing makes a lot of rivets with little effort. Speaking of rivets, let's lay some. Okay, with all the rivet detail over with, I added the all-important 39 number. Why? Well, because... With that done, we have reached full build, and it came out great. But next is the painting, so take one last good look of this multicolored pile of junk, cause here comes the spray paint base coat. I use both black and gray, black for the bottom, gray for the top, because, well, for painting reasons. Next I painted the engine with a nice dark metallic silver. After that, it was time for the culling of the rust. I applied this burnt sienna, which was basically rust in a can. I didn't go too heavy with this, I just put it in spots that made the most sense to me. Next I used this silver metallic. I painted over all the remaining base coat, but not the rust because that would be a mistake, even though painting on the rust first could be considered a mistake also. Moving on to the next mistake, I mean the next color, I used this black metallic that is the main color of the card. And some would say rebuilds use too much black, rendering the silver and rust pointless. But I would say, in my defense... Next I wanted to add racing stripes, so I painters taped up and base coated the stripes with aquamarine, and then I used this beautiful turquoise metallic to finish it off. It was looking pretty good, but after I touched it up a bit, it looked even better. So good that I would say the painting was done, and rebuilds made it through with only minor mistakes. However, the build is not done. I remembered that I had this bag of old wires, so let's add some to the engine. Yeah, that's much cooler. The last thing I did was hang Max Miku's rifle on the back window frame, because the dry desert of the sandy planet is a very dangerous one. Okay, the build is done, but we need someone to drive it. But who?
It's all the same to you.
Huh? Who was that?
I'll drive that tanker.
Sorry, Max Miku, I have enough deals with the others.
No deals. I want to drive the truck. Come on, cut the crap.
I'm the best chance you've got.
No deals? Okay, roll the glamour shots. Well, this was a lot of fun, but it's always fun to make Miku builds. If you like this video, give it a like, and if you're not already, please consider subscribing. If you like Miku crafts as much as I do, be sure to check out the Miku Podracer build rebuilds made last year. The voiceover in that particular video is a little strange because rebuilds was using this. Yeah, but hey, you gotta start somewhere. Okay guys and gals, I hope you enjoyed seeing an unlikely pairing between Hatsune Miku and the Mad Max series. Leave a comment down below suggesting what other series you want to see me insert Miku in. I was thinking Star Trek maybe? Always remember, be kind and rewind, and I'll see you in the next one. Later, losers.
And the Road Warrior. That was the last we ever saw of him. He lives now, only in my memories.